Empowered people make informed decisions that lead to living a life without regret. This is Sarah and Shawna Woods from Atlanta Divorce Law Group, and this is the Happily Ever After Divorce Podcast. Welcome to the Happily Ever After Divorce Podcast. This is Sarah with Atlanta Divorce Law Group, and I am joined by our managing partner, Shawna Woods. Shawna, today we're going to talk about entitlements. Are they good? Are they bad? Are they necessary in a relationship? Entitlement has recently received a pretty negative connotation. There's a lot of content out there that says how bad entitlement it is to have a sense of entitlement. Entitlement is the killer to growth, and entitlement sets expectations that deprives you of growing. So I'm sure you looked up the definition.
I looked up a couple of definitions.
All right. So hit me with it.
So, and it's interesting because I have almost a visceral reaction to the word entitled. I feel a certain way
I do
about
too. It bothers me.
It does. And the definition of an entitled person that I received was believing oneself to be inherently deserving of a privilege or special treatment.
It still bugs me.
Well, yeah, that's not a great definition.
No.
So I went a little bit further. And there was another one that said people that should get what they want because of who they are. All right, let's break that down.
Okay.
Because I'm still having that reaction.
I'm still having a negative
not
reaction.
Liking it. Not liking the idea of entitled. And I played with this in my head and I said, oh, how can I play the devil's advocate here? How can I say what if someone believes they are entitled to something, how can that be an okay or a actually positive thing? Well, let's break it down. I am entitled to your respect as your partner. I am entitled to your loyalty as your partner.
Entitled to your love.
I am entitled to love
entitled
as your partner.
To safety with you.
Right. I think where we go astray a lot when people are feeling entitled is because we don't feel that they earned it.
Right.
Right. And in a relationship in particular, do we feel more entitled than our partner to have a certain thing? Are feelings more important than our partner's feelings?
So entitlement to me, from what the definition you described, is that basically something that, like you said, it's inherent. You didn't work for it. You didn't have to do anything for it. As just a product of you being, you should receive this. Which goes against pretty much everything I've done in my life. But like you too, worked for every little thing in my life. However, are there inherent entitlements, right? Are there inherent entitlements with being a woman? Are there inherent entitlements with being a spouse? Are there inherent entitlements with being a child or a parent? That's what I find fascinating and don't have an answer to. And I'll tell you where this came to me. My good friend Lee, who you know as well, she's worked with us. We got on a phone call one day and she said, is there anything that you feel entitled to as a parent from your school? Now, this segment isn't going to be about entitlements from the education system, but it just blew my mind the way she phrased that to think, man, entitlement has such a negative word. I never use it. Only do I use it in a negative way, right? To sort of judge something. But I was like, whoa, are there actually things that we should feel entitled to? Am I entitled to receiving love from my parents just because I was born to them?
I think the connotation is what we both struggle with.
Right.
Right. That entitlement that you didn't earn it.
Right.
That you are, how did you earn it? By being born? Were you entitled to their love by simply being born? But when you put it that way, by simply being born, are you entitled to love from your parents? And in that aspect, I think yes.
I think so too.
You are entitled because the very virtue of just being here, that they brought you into this world. You didn't do anything to earn that. But most of the time when we're thinking about what we should receive even from the school situation. If you're in public education, you're paying into the school system and you're expecting to receive something back. So is that an entitlement or is that a right? Is that an expectation? Right? Struggle with the word entitlement when people are talking about Social Security as well. And it is an entitlement under the definition, but we all pay into it, right? So it is receiving back what we have all paid into and expect. I think that the word entitlement is such a connotation because it puts one person above the other person.
Well, I think my problem with it is that there's something you need in your life, and if you're feeling entitled to it, and if you're not receiving it, what do you do about it?
Yeah.
And I worry that the word entitlement just makes you sort of have that toddler mentality of that's just not fair, right? And so my concern is if somebody isn't receiving love in their marriage or doesn't have a good relationship with their parents or doesn't feel safe in a relationship but feels entitled to it, are they not going to do the work necessary to achieve those things because of that sense of entitlement? I feel like entitlement has a state of stuckness to it. You get stuck in this mindset of I'm entitled, I didn't get it, so now I'm upset about it. And then you're stuck.
I agree, because I think the very term, what it brings up in most people and what we're seeing in ourselves is that just by essence of standing here, being here, I'm entitled to it.
Right.
It should come to me just by the virtue of me being. I like the word deserve more.
Right.
Because deserving,
yeah.
I am deserving of love. I am deserving of respect. That word has a connotation to me that seems to be more of I earned it. I have been with you through thick and thin. I have given you my love. I have been loving. I deserve your love and respond. I have supported you. I have supported your dreams, your finances, whatever it is. I am deserving of your respect. So in your scenario, the only entitlement I feel that is actually a legit one is the virtue of the child being born.
Yeah. And, again, we could go very, very deep into metaphysical, philosophical argument. Some would say the child did do something to get born. There's a whole school of thought there as well that the child it was a choice even for the child to be born. We don't have to knock that out today, but I just want to represent that idea out there as well. So I had a thought as to sort of create an anecdote to this entitlement, which is standards.
Oh.
Right? This is my standards in a relationship. This is my standards in a marriage. This is my standards in a friendship. And standard means more of attaining something. There's an attainment to it, an attainment of something of a higher value, and you can raise it. It's a measurement, which doesn't mean your job is done just by saying, I want it, it's mine, I'm entitled. You can always grow with your standards. As you raise your standards, you're willing to do the work it takes, roll up your sleeve to do the work it takes to be somebody that is deserving, to use your word, of this standard to be in your marriage, of this standard to be in your relationship, or these are my standards for the school that I want my child in. That to me has a much more creative part for you to play a role in and continuously grow with your standards versus a state of this is what I'm entitled to, no more, no less. And if I don't get it, I'm going to keep standing in this space and just cross my arms and pout my lips.
Exactly.
That's the visual, isn't it?
That is the visual of entitlement is I'm not going to do anything. And I think it goes back to our boundary conversation that we've had previously, is if I have a standard and you're not meeting my standard, It is up to me to decide
Yes.
what I do if you are not meeting my standard.
Right.
You can lower your standard. Not probably what I would do. You can say you need to meet my standard, or this is what happens,
and
right?
it's your choice.
It's your choice. It is the person's personal choice. But you're right. When you say entitled, I'm entitled. I just say, somebody's stamping their foot, give me,
Mm-hmm.
without taking the ownership of deciding what to do if they don't get it in a personal way. Not in an attacking way, but in a personal way. Okay, you're not meeting my standard. I now have a choice. Leave, stay, right?
I love that. Thank you, Shawna.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to the Happily Ever After Divorce podcast. If you'd like to learn more, go to atlantadivorcelawgroup.com/resources.